You have no idea how much courage it takes for me to film in the woods like this right now. All around me, I'm being watched. The truth is, I get watched out here more than on YouTube. There are more eyeballs out there just waiting to feast on this right here than people watching my YouTube channel. That's the truth of it right there. I'm probably going to stop selling workout programs on my website because this forest out here is getting a little bit too populated with monstrosities. It's the best word for them. Monstrosities. This community is no longer safe. If I don't upload for a few days, just know, you know what happened to me. I'm just going to leave you guys out here. I'm going to leave you right there, and I'll be right back. That shit. I'm not coming back. You can hang out there by themselves.
Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding Mountain. And I just had somebody ask me in the comments, they said, Jason, what do you recommend for a home gym? Like, what would be the best type of home gym setup? Or at least what would you recommend? Like, what do you find works for you? And what do you like? And I've spent most of my life in home gyms of some sort. And there are some gyms, like when I was training clients, they'd have some pretty elaborate gyms. It was almost like you were going to the gym when you go to their house because they had so many things going on. They, had unlimited money, unlimited space. But most of us don't have that. Most of us have a garage or we have one room to work with. And what I found, based on my own experience and based on what I experienced as a kid too, because my dad always had a setup in the garage. He always had a powerlifting type of setup, right? And what I found was that there are certain pieces of equipment that are immensely useful for anyone seeking to have a real home gym, like one that's going to give pretty much most of the results that you get from the gym itself, except for you're not working with quite as much diversity in exercises or machines and things, but you're getting the most bang for your buck for the amount of square footage that you're taking up. Because let's face it, some machines take up a lot of space for just one or two exercises. So the first piece of equipment that I would say is the most bang for your buck is, of course, the power rack. The power rack is so crazy awesome because you can do bench presses from it, you can do squats from it, you can do chin-ups from it, you can do body weight rows from it, and then you just hook a bar up on the rack and then, plug your hands into the chin-up bar, start doing some rows. You could do floor presses from it, right? You could just set the bar up and then lay on the floor and then do some floor presses. You could do a lot of different exercises and also have the spotter in place, which is very useful because when you raise those pins at the side of you when you're doing bench presses, you don't have to worry about the bar collapsing on your neck, right? That's really important when you're working out by yourself a lot of times, especially at home, right? Chances are somebody will walk into your basement 3 days after the bar fell on your neck and find you there, you know what I mean? Like, so it's a good idea to have some sort of spotter or safety device in place just to make sure you don't drop anything. So the power rack is immensely useful for this. And not only can you do a lot of exercises, but it's also safe, or at least as safe as you can get for free weights, because it does have those safety bars or pins in place that you can adjust. So the best type of power rack is very sturdy. It can handle lots of weight, like most likely double or triple what you're planning on using on that rack. And at the same time, it has the safety pins in place so that way you can adjust them. So the neat part about the power rack is that it can be the hub, or at least the central unit of your gym, because there are pulley systems also out there available that you could hook up to a power rack and use, like a tricep press down or a bicep curl. And these things are only useful if you have a power rack or something to attach those pulley systems to, right? So if you feel the need to get some sort of cable set up or some type of other type of angles or exercises incorporated into your workout, and free weights aren't hitting those angles that you want, well, then you can incorporate a pulley system or even some rubber bands and you hook it up to the rack, and then you could do these different types of exercises. So like I said, the power rack is pretty much the foundation of a good home gym for most people, especially if they're looking at doing free weight type exercises. And of course, I'm speaking from the bodybuilding / powerlifting perspective here, right? I'm not speaking about, somebody that just wants to run a couple miles a day or something like that. I'm speaking from the weight training side of things, obviously. Mountain. So the next piece of equipment that I would recommend is, of course, a bench. But the ideal bench is adjustable, where it will adjust from the flat to the incline. Now I'm assuming you have limited space, because ideally you would have one bench for each purpose. Like you'd have an incline bench, you'd have an upright bench for shoulder presses, and then you'd have a flat bench, right? But if you have limited space, what I have is an adjustable bench that's really sturdy. Once again, it's important to get a really sturdy bench, not just one of these plastic pieces of crap, right? But something that can support a hell of a lot of weight, just in case you get that strong, because it can happen. If you use one of my workout programs especially, you never know. You never know, man. What you could do is you can adjust that bench at whatever angle you want, and therefore it serves multi-purposes, right? So the same bench I use for bench press is also the same bench I'm using for incline curls or incline presses, or sometimes incline slash shoulder press, because it goes up quite steep. It doesn't go up totally vertical, but it does go up quite steep, so I can use it for that as well. So the more adjustability that you have in your home gym, the more versatility you're going to have, and the more efficient use of the space that you have, you're also going to be able to take advantage of, right? So if you have limited space, obviously you just can't clutter it up with a bunch of benches and all that sort of thing. The next thing I will say is, obviously you need the free weights. You know, you have to have the free weights, such as the barbell, right? The Olympic bar. And I go with the 45 pound to 50 pound Olympic bar. Ideally, you don't go with the CrossFit type of bars, as far as the bars that just, they spin, but they can't necessarily take as much weight, so they have a tendency to bend and stuff. So you want to go with a higher end bar that is not going to bend. Say you want to do some rack pulls one day with super heavy weight, you don't want the bar to bend on you, right? Because there's nothing worse than bench pressing with a bent bar. You know, all the rotation goes away, so then it starts to become really hard on the shoulders. So make sure you go with a bar that definitely has at least you know, a couple of 1,000 pound sort of capacity. You know what I'm saying? It could take a lot of weight on there, or at least 1,000 pounds anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you're going to lift 1,000 pounds, but sometimes the amount of force that is realized upon the bar when you're doing a rack pull and then you drop the weight is, you know, multiples of whatever weight you have on there, right? Because of the momentum and the sudden stop. So you want to make sure that the bar is more than sufficient to take the weight and not bending on you is a very big plus. So that aside, just putting normal 45 pound plates or 25 pound plates, or those metal plates, you know, just basically get enough of them for your gym. You can put on the bar. I mean, that's pretty much a no-brainer. And then from there also, you may need some dumbbells, because dumbbells do give a different experience than a barbell, right? So I find ideally I use a hybrid of dumbbells and barbells in my workouts, so I do have a dumbbell rack with some dumbbells on there. Now, there are some systems out there where there's just one dumbbell that's adjustable to multiple weights, and I do find that this is sufficient for most people, especially in the beginner stages. But one thing you will find is that when you get into the heavier weights, that using adjustable dumbbells can be quite clunky. It's almost like they take up a lot more space than is necessary, and it's not quite as efficient to move as far as in a pressing type movements or whatever you're doing with them. Sometimes it may feel a little bit clunky and almost clumsy, right? So I do prefer, and you might prefer this as well if you have the space anyway, to have real dumbbells. Now you're going to pay a little bit extra money for these things, but they're going to last forever. You're never going to have to replace them. They're always going to be good, you know. I mean, they're weight, you know what I mean? They're metal, they're going to last, right? So basically a set of 100 pound dumbbells in your hand is going to feel much different than 100 pounds of plastic type weights with rubber stuff and, you know, swivels and all this shit, right? That stuff's going to take up so much more space. So your range of motion may be hindered by using those other types of weights. That said though, you might want to just go with a couple heavier weights like the 100 pound dumbbells or 110 or 90s or whatever it is that you're working with for your work sets, and then still have those adjustable weights for most of your workouts. But then when you get into the heavier, you're actually using the efficient weights at that point. That's when you're using the metal weights. So yeah, having some dumbbells, bottom line, that's definitely a no-brainer for a gym. You definitely have to have that. Now the last thing I'm going to say is having some rubber mats or some rubber flooring is really great to have in your home gym, because not only does it buffer some of the sound for other people that live in your house or whatever when you're dropping weights, but it also saves your floors, because if you're dropping a weight on the floor, you're going to be putting dents in it. And even if it's concrete, you're going to be marking it up and basically creating cracks in the concrete. So having some rubber matting down is extremely useful to offset some of that damage. And let's just say your workout becomes your workout, not everybody's workout in the house. You know what I'm saying? Because you make so much noise when you're clanging shit down and whatever. So yeah, some rubber mats are what I'd recommend too. But this is the main thing. It's just an adjustable bench and a power rack for the most part with the weights. you can accomplish 80% of what it is that you need to accomplish in the gym. And then from there, you could add these little things like pulleys and bands and you know, you can get those little angles in. And if you find you have the space, you can buy a vertical bench, you know, for shoulder presses or for some overhead tricep extension type stuff. But in the end, I find just a couple simple pieces of equipment will do the job for the most part. And then you can add those little pieces from there if you want in the future, right? So I still need to add a cable pulley at some point into my gym because I do enjoy the constant tension experience as opposed to the dumbbell sometimes, just for something different. And that's why I end up going to the gym, is to enjoy some of the cable work. But in the end, you know, most of it can be accomplished just with a simple setup. And that's what I prefer to use. And that's what I've used most of my life, and my brother as well, and my dad. So this is what I found to be most effective for me. So I hope this helps you out. Hope this helps you understand what I find is effective for a gym. It doesn't mean there isn't a million other things you can add, but for the most bang for your buck, I find this stuff is great. The power rack, bench, and some dumbbells and some weights and a good barbell. There you go, man, you're golden. Mountain. So I hope this helps out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalantbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the patient supporters, and take care for now. And the nice part about having a home gym is that you can work out multiple times a day, all the time. Never stop. Just train, eat, then train some more. Just train. It's the world of never-ending training. It's the never-ending training story. Mountain.